Welcome to Co-op Mode, Round 82. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, from Savage, Minnesota. I won't be talking about the beauty of towns we're from. Joined by the Canadian Mark Carabin from parts unknown, still in the surface, haven't collapsed into the sea to join your sister city in Atlantis.
We're getting there. I don't know, man. If we get more rain and wind, I think I'm just gonna blow out somewhere into the Atlantic and just stay there. It's been wild here lately, but happy to be here.
Poseidon do what Poseidon do, Mark.
Basically, yeah.
And then joined by Mr. Rich Davenport, a friend of the show, been on Code 47, been on Holocron Chronicles, been on Secret Friends Unite, and has now, this is a trifecta. Well, and you'd been on Co-op Mode before without Mark, so apparently you wanted to come back and get the full trilogy, and here we are, gentlemen. So
yeah, I wanted the full Monty, so to speak, of the
one second.
Co-op mode. 1 second.
The full Monty. The clothes are on, at least as far as you can see in the podcast. And the video podcast, check it out to see if we're lying or not. It's well worth seeing.
We're all Winnie the Pooh.
Exactly. So, Rich, you do 2 podcasts at the moment, looking to do more, but you do A View from the Couch, which is a co-op podcast with your spouse typically, and you review movies, and then you do your Star Wars podcast, and I've been on that. Surprisingly, I've been invited on a Star Wars podcast, Mark, with Paul Moderman. So
didn't we do the holiday special?
We did.
Right? Yeah,
we did.
Of all the episodes to invite Todd on, okay.
I had heard of his mythical hatred for Star Wars, which isn't really a hatred for Star Wars, but it was this mythical hatred for Star Wars.
The way Charlie talks about it,
right?
Yeah. The way Charlie talks about Todd being a Star Wars fan, you'd think that it just makes his blood boil. So I guess following that line of thinking, the holiday special, it's like, get on the guy that's going to roast anything from Star Wars for this.
But
yeah.
Quite honestly, it's where Star Wars peaked, to be honest.
The holiday special.
Come on.
Ever the troll.
You have Maude and Harvey Korman. I mean, come on. It's
true.
peak. Sexy dancing.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? Itchy and Scratchy? The 2 kids?
Lumpy, isn't it? Lumpy.
Good times. Oh, well, we're not here to talk about, Star Wars. We're here to talk about video games, gentlemen. And what better thing to do, because there's video games in the air. Rich and I just talked about Uncharted on his podcast. We've got the Sonic sequel coming out very soon. They just announced, actually, a couple of new gaming properties are going to be produced by Netflix. BioShock is getting a film from Netflix. It Takes Two, and I'm blanking other one. It's Disco Elysium. It's also getting an adaptation.
Doing BioShock?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And you mentioned Sonic 2, but they've also confirmed that they're working on Sonic 3 and a spin-off show for Paramount Plus with Knuckles.
Wow.
So crazy.
The Sonic cinematic universe is in full swing, gentlemen.
My goodness. We're in for a wild time. So to celebrate that, how far video game properties have come on the screen, we're going to talk about where they came from in their dubious fashion. So we've got a buy rent return this week of Super Mario Brothers movie, Street Fighter the movie, the game, the movie, and Double Dragon. And all of these movies essentially 80s, 90s. So we've all seen these 3 movies, I believe. No? Mm-hmm. Rich?
Yeah, no, I've seen them. I'm shaking my head in despair of the fact that I have seen them. So, yeah.
Okay. So, fun fact, I did have Wing Commander on here, which is a classic PC game. Mark Hamill's in it. Malcolm McDowell it was using video, CGI, not CGI, full motion video at the time. But they made a movie with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard.
Oh my God, really?
In I believe it was 1999, because I saw this crap fest.
Wow.
It was horrible. But the reason I saw this movie, Mark, to see the episode 1 first trailer.
Right.
That's right. It was in front of this, wasn't this? Oh man,
It was. So talk about Todd taking
Well,
one for the team.
there we go.
Call me a Star Wars hater. What did I do? I endured one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's probably one of the worst ever to see the trailer for episode 1. So who's a super fan?
Oh my god.
That's it. Yeah. Be getting Star Wars Episode 1 tattooed on your chest, just right across, just bam. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
I've got a baby Watto tattoo. You haven't seen it ever.
Oh god.
Oh well. Yeah, so we're gonna talk through these. So Rich, you're the guest. Buy, rent, or return Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, Double Dragon.
Boy, that's it. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm gonna say return Double Dragon because, good God. Now the other two though, they have varying levels of nostalgic cheese to them, right? Like, I mean, Super Mario Brothers, you have got Captain Lou Albano in that film, and
No,
then,
no,
That
you
one's,
don't.
isn't that
Bob Hoskins.
Bob
Bob
Hoskins?
Hoskins, yeah.
Why am I thinking of Captain Lou? Oh,
Because
Captain Lou is
he's in the Super
cartoon.
Mario
He's
Brothers
in the
Power
Super
Hour. or
Show.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, the
That's
Super
right.
Show.
Sorry.
Yep.
Bob Hoskins. Right. Yeah. Okay. So you've got Bob Hoskins in that, but you've got Raul Julia in Street Fighter.
Mhm.
So I mean, which one do you? Wow, man, who do you love more? I mean, what's better than seeing Raul Julia in that getup? I mean, he looked ridiculous in that. What is that general that he played? I can't remember the guy's name.
That would be
Bison,
M. Bison. That's right.
Bison, yeah, and Bison, yep. In that getup, I'm gonna have to go with Street Fighter as my keep. I'm gonna go with Super Mario Brothers as my rent, and definitely Double Dragon as my return because no
You
thanks.
got
guys.
Fennec Shand as Chun Li. I mean, come on, how
Yep.
awesome is that? But I mean, come on, Double Dragon. It's got, Robert Patrick. You've got Alyssa Milano. I mean, come on,
Right.
the
Yikes.
star power of that movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Mark, what's his last name?
Dacascos, the
That's
Iron
the
Chef
one.
Junior.
The Iron Chef. Yeah, that's he's one of the brothers, Jimmy, I think, but could be Billy. I don't know. They're interchangeable things. Yeah. So what? My choices. Oh man, this is tough because they're all so bad. And but like so good. Like Rich, you kind of like they all have like weird kind of charms to them. Like Raul Julia just hated doing this, but also loved every second of it because he just ate up everything and kind of knew he was dying. As I think in this one, like this was like the last movie he did, wasn't it?
Oh God!
Like he was just
an
like,
Orson
this
Welles
is where
thing,
I'm
right?
going out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Shit. Yeah. But that like Super Mario Brothers, you have Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, who I mean, are we gonna talk about Bruno? Like,
oh my God!
can we talk about Bruno a little bit? Dennis Hopper, like
That has the most star power. I mean, really. I mean, that has the most star power.
yeah.
A paycheck goes a long way, apparently.
I just watched Double Dragon not that long ago too. I actually watched these and like both Mortal Kombat, like the original Mortal Kombat movies, recently, because I torture myself sometimes. Are
you like is this like your like treatment mark for all of the Encanto? You're like, I need something to balance me out, a palate cleanser. Yeah.
That's your palate
That's
cleanser?
exactly it. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to buy Street Fighter for some reason that I can't think of right now. So I'm making all these up as I go. I'm going to rent I don't know. Mario Brothers, just because it's John Leguizamo, and I'm gonna return Double Dragon because I have no good reasons for any of these. I'm literally just like Like rent them all, really? Like for me, this is just like just rent every single one of them, have a stupid time, eat some popcorn, and then just go on with your life and forget they exist for another 10 years. So that's that. Todd, Todd, how are you feeling?
Mark, that's fair though, because honestly, there's no good reason for any of these movies to exist. So, you don't have to have a good
Right.
reason to why you have them in the order you have
No,
them in.
exactly.
So I will return Double Dragon because I believe that is the movie that was made last on this list, and it should have known better, and it didn't. It didn't. I mean, it crapped on all of that classic lore of Double Dragon. Come on, it's such
Yeah,
they had great mythology to build from. I
Oh
mean,
my.
that opening cutscene where he punches the girl in the stomach and he drags her away. I mean, what tells a better story?
You had a Bobo in there. You had
Whips,
other characters, I'm sure. What's
iconic
not to love?
whips, climbing ladders.
Crazy hair, right?
Yeah, kneeing people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all those classic elements for great storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going away. Then Street Fighter. I'm giving it points for Claude Van Damme. And he's like doing his Nick Cage in this movie. I mean, just like it makes no sense, but it's just you're like on this like somebody had to be on cocaine, meth, and like NyQuil at the same time. Because I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it, but it's still fun. And the fact that they made, like I said, a game called Street Fighter, the movie, the game. And they were digitized version like Pit Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Why not? Come on, so good. And then, and then Super Mario Brothers. Oh my goodness. This is like the movie that essentially made it so Nintendo would just shy away from adapting any of their properties. It's like once bitten, always shy. I mean, they didn't. I mean, they
This
were all
movie
about selling
broke
everything.
Nintendo,
Yeah.
like not in a financial way, but just like they crushed their spirits. They were like, "We're gonna make a movie," and then they didn't again for 40 friggin' years. Like this is the movie that just kicked Nintendo in the balls and was like, "We are gonna go make our games ourselves. Leave us alone, never again." And like, holy crap!
I mean, once Bob Hoskins was gone, I mean, like, what else could they do? I mean, like, he's going to be in every Mario movie now because you can't change it, Mark. Bob Hoskins has to be in every Mario movie.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
they got Chris. They got one of the Chris's. I love it. But you know what? They're going to use Bob Hoskins' voice. He's just going to use Chris Pratt for all the motion capture. Surprise.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah. And if you want more about the history of the Super Mario Brothers movie, Console Wars has like a chapter dedicated to it, and it's hilarious. So good. Yeah, it's fantastic. So there you go, folks. Let us know what you would buy, rent, and return. And if you also saw Wing Commander and liked it.
That was originally on this list, and I haven't seen Wing Commander, so I think I'm going to have to go correct that.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that on any streaming services?
I'll bet you could find it on YouTube somewhere.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's probably like $90. There's one copy left somewhere. It's probably in Ottawa, Mark. So
I'll fight my way through.
Yeah, exactly. It's on HD DVD. So break out that 360 attachment. Oh well. Oh well. But now it's time to actually talk about what we've been playing, gentlemen. So Rich, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. Well, I've been playing Guardians of the Galaxy. I bought it when it came out. I played a couple of levels and then I got sidetracked. And I've gone back to it and been working my way through it. It is a fantastic game. It is a lot of fun to play. Other than that, I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I bought Vanguard when it came out, and that game is just a hot mess. So I went back to Cold War.
My light decided to go rogue. I'm like, what's going on back there?
Wow.
Everybody's okay. Everybody's okay.
Technology is attacking you. So I've been playing Black Ops Cold War. I went back to that, and then I've been playing a lot of Fortnite lately, like an unreasonable amount of Fortnite lately.
What's the draw in to bring you back?
My kid likes to play Fortnite, and so I
Mm.
get a chance to talk to him and interact with him
Mm-hmm.
live because he lives in the Twin Cities. I live an hour and a half south of there, so that has been kind of the draw. The other part is I found my forever skin in Spider-Man. So now
Which one?
the black suit Spider-Man, yeah, the
Okay.
the Venom suit, or not Venom suit, but
Nice.
symbiote
Is there a
form.
right answer, Mark? You like which one?
Well, no, because this season there's been so many. There's
Yeah.
so
Oh.
there's Spider-Man that's part of the season pass that we talked about back with Brock. That I said you have to like earn 100 levels or whatever and unlock that version of Spider-Man. But then you can get the black suit, Future Foundation,
Yep.
and like a few other kind of variants of that suit.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also one that you could buy, which was the Tom Holland one, where you can take his mask off and it's Tom Holland,
Right.
and Zendaya was there too as MJ, and you can get the double pack and all that kind of stuff. And it is a slightly different kind of take on Spider-Man. Just like I have like 4 friggin' Batman costumes in the game.
Yeah.
So it was a valid question, I think,
Yeah,
is
definitely.
which Spider-Man, because you've seen for anyone that's even played a tiny bit, you see like and they released the pointing
Yeah.
meme kind of thing. So you do see a ton of different Spider-Men all pointing at each other and be like, "You're Spider, no, you're Spider-Man." Okay, yeah. So
Anytime I
valid
see a
question.
Spider-Man in the lobby, that's exactly what I'm doing. I do the emote
Right.
point. Hey, it's you. So that's basically everything that I've been. It's tax season, so I don't really have a ton of time to play video games, but those are my go-tos.
I was thinking about that Black Ops Cold War. That's a
Yeah.
long title. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah.
I don't even remember which one that is. Was it a good one?
It's the one from last year. It started out pretty
Oh, okay.
poor.
Okay.
Started out pretty poor, but it ended up in a good spot. And the mechanics and everything are a lot of fun. And so, I've gone back to it because I guess, like I said, Vanguard just has kind of flopped for me. The matchmaking is terrible on these games, but I seem to be able to get around that with Cold War somehow. So I have found that I've had to go. I used to play a lot of hardcore mode, like online hardcore, when I was younger, when I was a little faster. But now that I'm a little older, I've got to go back to regular like core, where it's not insta kill if somebody basically it's not like a game
Oh.
of tag, right? So yeah, I've got to have time to react to my old man hands.
Needs to place against some bots. I'm really good against bots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actually, I'm not really.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. Mark,
Mm-hmm.
first game you played is I think I have played this game.
Okay, so this is a new one, River City Girls Zero. I received a code for this one from our friends at Way Forward, so thank you to them for supporting us as they have in the past. It's always great to hear from Way Forward. I'm a big fan of a lot of their games. This one was a limited run game. It's finally available for digital download on at least Switch, is where I've been playing it. I can't remember if it's on other things. I should probably have looked that up, but I didn't. So it's on Switch for sure. I think it's only $15. So this one was originally released in 1994, Super Famicom, Japan only. Finally coming to this side of the ocean and translate it and all that fun stuff. It still looks the same. It still plays the same. Still has the same graphics and all that kind of stuff. That's basically, for the most part, unchanged, I believe. Although I obviously haven't played the original one to compare it to, but it feels like an old game from the Super Nintendo days. But they have added an opening and a closing kind of like motion comic cutscene kind of thing, and like animated intros with some different things, some new music, I believe, even though most of the game music is the same. They've added some new stuff. I want it to love this game because I like, speaking of Double Dragon and those kind of movie games and stuff. I usually like beat 'em ups. I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood this week to play a beat 'em up or something, but like there's a lot of dialogue in this game, like a lot. like a lot of like, hey, we got arrested. Oh, that's weird, but we definitely didn't do the crime. No, someone's setting us up. I wonder who's setting us up. And it's like 2 seconds to beat up some people in prison. And then it's like a whole like 20-minute jailbreak, like conversation. And then you beat up a couple of cops who are chasing you. And then you're like, hey, we should go to our high school and see if like everything's good there. And then you beat up a couple of people and then there's more dialogue. And then it's like, and up until this point, you're not even playing as the girls. You're playing as like the guys from River City Ransom, and then the girls finally, eventually join your squad, and you can swap between them all, which was kind of cool, but a little pointless. Aside from like that's your lives. But the thing is, if you don't switch out quick enough, and your character dies, it doesn't automatically switch to the next person. You just die. So you could have 3 characters with full health, and then one of them dies. And if you didn't switch out, you're dead. So that was a bit because I just kind of let it happen. I was like, yeah, it'll just like switch to the next person, and it didn't. And it started me over on that.
Usually,
level,
like you die in those games, and then like you get the counter, like the 10 seconds, right?
Right.
To then either bring in another character, or if you have a continue or whatever to do something, versus leaving you hanging like that.
Yeah, it was weird. Weird choice.
Can you skip those cutscenes, or they're not even cutscenes, are they?
Of course not. Nope.
Oh, okay.
In game. Yep, not even like cutscene. No, it's like in game with just forward text that nope, you can't even like fast. Yeah, no, it's a little it gets a little grating if you're not in the mood for it, which apparently I wasn't this week. But like the mechanics are fine. Like it's not breaking any ground. Like each character has their own special move, but aside from that, it's punch kick, and there is a back punch button or back kick. So like if 2 of the enemies, like if one's approaching you from the front and the other's approaching you from the back, you don't actually have to turn your character around. There is kind of like a forward and backwards attack button, which I thought was neat. But aside from that, there is co-op, like couch co-op, local co-op gameplay for 2 players, not 4, because even though the Switch is capable of 4, and there's 4 characters in this game after the first couple of levels, they didn't add that in because Super Nintendo games only had 2 controllers. So there's a few things that, like I said, I just kind of wish, if they were upgrading some things, I wish they were upgrading other things and that kind of stuff. But it was, it's fine for $15. Like it's a cool addition to your collection if you want to check out something that's never been released here before. So yeah, I think like I said, for that reason, it's kind of worthwhile to check it out. But there are definitely better beat 'em ups. There are definitely better way forward games for me. But it's cool to I like those kind of games where you see the thing, you see something like this has never been released before. And even if it's something like, is it Star Fox? The one that was on the Super.
Oh, Star Fox 2, right?
Star Fox 2? Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like even stuff like that, where it's like, you play it for like a half an hour, an hour, like it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I kind of see why this game was like dropped or whatever, like, but it's still a neat addition. And that's kind of how I have to approach this game. Cause yeah, it's like a rough Japanese only, like, I think they were more into story back then, like dramatic dialogue for a beat 'em up game. Like it was very much, like soap opera. It's so just weird. like drama. Like it's all this like high school drama with a couple of beat 'em up levels in between. It's really weird to describe. But if that sounds like your jam, if you don't mind reading a whole bunch of like weird high school drama text, like this is definitely going to appeal to you. Like I think this has a very niche sort of gamer that my little squirrel brain this week could not focus on enough. But like, I might come back to this when I'm feeling more of a story kind of thing. Cause I think another bad thing about me going into this game was playing Pokemon Legends, which is also super text heavy and super like, just kind of keeps going. It's like, just get to the point where I throw a ball at a like a duck's head to make it fight another beaver or something like that. Like so like going into this game, I was just like, no, like, because I expected to be like, oh yeah, I've read so much text with Pokemon, time to kick the crap out of some things. And this was like, nope, high school drama. You punch two people and then more high school drama. And it was just like, it just caught me so off guard. But there is some coolness in there. So that's that.
That makes me think of Persona 5. I downloaded that recently, and my God, where they open up with like a nice like beat 'em up scene, but then it's just talk.
Is that the Strikers one? Is that the Strikers one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah,
Oh,
because the standard. My son's a huge Persona 5 fan, and it's just like that is a lot of story. But yeah, I mean, and it's funny because I did play River City Girls 1, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was really good, really well done, very fun art style. But Zero is interesting. Yeah, original was 94, so games have come, 1994. Games have come a long way since. That's interesting. But hey, why not?
Yep.
Video game preservation.
Yeah, I was going to say that kind of fits your theme, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really happy that we're going to be talking about that later. The last thing I do want to talk about is I played the Nintendo Switch Sports online test. I can't remember if they have a fun name for it this weekend, but that was basically, they did an online test of a few of the sports for the new Nintendo Switch. Is it Nintendo Switch Sports?
It's Nintendo Switch Sports.
Okay,
absolutely.
So it's basically just a remake of Wii Sports with a couple of new things. So there's sword fighting, which is Chambara, I believe is the name that they gave that on this one. So for this test, there were only a few games available, and it had to be random. You could not pick like, I just want to play bowling. And the times locally for me, this is the ridiculous part. There were, I think, five test times for 45 minutes each. The first one was Friday night at 11 p.m. Again, this is my local time. So 11 p.m., 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and another 11, and then 7 a.m. Sunday morning. So we played a couple of times on Saturday. We played the afternoon one, and then we played at 11 o'clock at night, my wife and I. So it was like they allowed you to do two players, which was cool. Like I said, everything was random. You couldn't just be like, I want to bowl for 45 minutes. No, it was just, you take what they give you. But it was fine. Like I understand what they were doing. They want to just like throw as many people in the online infrastructure as they can and see how it works. And for me, it worked really, really well. We got dropped from a couple of matches in I want to say the last test that we did, the 11 o'clock Saturday night test. But after that, it kind of worked perfectly. It was fine. So the sports that were available this weekend were the sword fighting, which was cool. You could pick different swords. So like a standard single blade, a twirly blade that had some weird power up that I never chose, and then two blades if you had two Switch remotes, Joy-Con. Because that name escaped me after doing like Nintendo podcasts and this podcast for years. Why? Anyway, so there was the sword fighting, tennis, which was just Wii tennis. That was great. What was the other one? Bowling, which was really cool. It was kind of like an elimination bowling. So you started off with 16 people, and each round, so you get three. What do you call it? 3 strings, I guess, when you bowl, like 3 whatever. Frames, I guess. I don't know. I don't bowl, but anyway, so you get 3 frames, and the bottom 5 people get cut out, and you can watch or whatever, or you can bail and play something else. And then they keep cutting 5 people out, and then you get into the finale. So I got into the finale, and I got second place, which sucked because I was like so close to first. We were only off by a couple.
If only you were a bowler like me, Mark.
I know. Yeah, it would have been great. I'm sure you'll clean up. So this was a cool test. I want to play more. Like, it convinced me to kind of get the game when it comes out, but it kind of sucks that it's coming out like the end of April. because my wife, as soon as we finished playing the first time, like the first online playtest, she was like, "Yeah, sweet, pre-order this. I like it. I like, it's kind of what I remember. It's what I want. This is great." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go. Let's pre-order it now. I think it like comes out pretty soon." We looked at
Yep.
it, it's like I said, the end of April. It's like, man, I hope they do another test for like some of the other games or something, like soccer or badminton or whatever, like in between now and then, like, because it just seems like, I don't know, like the attention's through the roof right now or whatever, and like people are ready to go, and nah, wait another few months, don't worry about it. Like,
I was
man.
looking forward to playing it so much, and Nintendo does these stupid things, like you said, Mark. It's weird times, and it's like if you didn't set like a reminder on your watch and say I cannot do anything this weekend, I have got to play Switch Sports. They do that. It was like salmon run all over again. I'm like, oh, I missed it. I totally forgot what was going on. So yeah, and I'm not sure how that gets. I mean, obviously gets people excited, but a lot of people missed out, and if they aren't going to be able to play it again in April, then kind of what was the point? I mean, maybe they don't want to compete with Kirby, but there's no Nintendo February game, so why couldn't you just put it out in February?
Right. So I don't like, it seemed like the sports that we played were finished enough to have an online play test. So even if they released it, like we know they're releasing golf in the fall. So why not release this game and say, okay, we're releasing this game right now. You can play 4 sports in April. We're going to release the next 4 sports, and in the fall you'll get golf. And I'm hoping they keep going with that because I want my frisbee golf back.
Like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Keep it alive. Add in more stuff. I mean, Wii Sports was free and had a lot of content. Wii Sports Resort was $60. I hope they don't go back to the model of the one on the Wii U, which was horrible. It was like buy some things, and they didn't have a proper release, and it was horrible. I'm like, why didn't you just? Yeah, it's funny. People said this should have been the pack-in game of the Switch, and I'm like, I can't disagree, but I totally understand why they didn't, because they didn't want to be associated with the Wii.
Yeah, that's it. I think this is the right time for it to drop. I just wish it was dropping a little sooner.
Yeah,
but like I think the Switch has defined itself outside of the Wii, so now it's a good time to bring this back. Rich, did you dabble in Wii Sports when the Wii was a thing?
I did.
You have some memories for this?
Yeah. I did dabble. Right. I have my Wii story is back when Wii came out, it was notoriously difficult to find. And much like with my PlayStation 5, I actually leaned on a friend to get a Wii console, and we played the crap out of the Wii Sports. We really enjoyed it. We parties, group of people together. Of course, it was all non-online, so it was all in one house and doing the bowling and all the different games and everything. And then, of course, I fell out of touch with the Wii, and I sold it for like twice what I bought it for.
Oh wow, that was quick then.
Yeah. And then I bought a PlayStation 3 for twice what I paid for the Wii, apparently. So
take that, Nintendo.
Yeah, take that.
So is this like a game that's got you excited? Are you like me and you want it right now, or are you like gonna maybe check it out in April, or how you feeling on this one?
This one, I mean, this seems like a game that my kid will enjoy. I'm sure we'll probably give it a go. It's just one of those ones that right now he's in the middle of Arceus, right? The Pokemon Legends Arceus. And holy cow, is he into that game? He just keeps drooling over it. So I'm guessing by the time this pops up, he'll be ready for a new one. So yeah, I'm sure we'll pick it up.
All right, Todd, what have you been playing?
So not a lot of like long gameplays of things. I finished Ghost of Tsushima's Iki Island content, which I absolutely love to pieces. So that was a great experience. Check it out if you love Ghost of Tsushima, or if you want to finally check out the game. It's the perfect time to get it. All that content is fantastic. There's almost too much to do. So I said, I'm done. I'm good to go. Can't wait for a sequel. But great experience. But then I decided to finish Horizon Zero Dawn, because I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West. And know who's playing more of that than I am? My son. He never played Horizon Zero Dawn, but when he saw me playing Forbidden West, he's like, oh, I really want to try that. So he had a 4-day weekend. So, of course, he's all in on it. He's playing on a hard mode, of course. I'm not. And we were just playing around with some of the, this is a sequel to Guerrilla Games from 2017, their really debut game on PlayStation 4. They had a Killzone game, but that was kind of
Right.
a different era. I mean, just kind of surprising everyone with the studio that makes a first-person shooter to do something like this, where it's a big open world third person. It's very much like an Assassin's Creed game.
Mhm.
A lot of people compared it to that, which is kind of a cool, apt way to put it, because I kind of think of it as that, in that Far Cry, those type of games. And the story was really awesome. The motion capture, the way that people looked, was fantastic. And what this game does really well is it opens up with kind of like what you missed, which was perfect. Anyone jumping into the game could just get right into this, which I think is great. Didn't have to, look to like, it was kind of like what Halo should have had. Halo 6 Infinite should have had that, kind of like what you missed. Glad they did this. It was very easy to go into, really got you amped to get right into it. And this game looks beautiful. I tried it. It supports a performance mode or a visual mode. The visual mode is 4K 30. The performance mode is like, it's not 4K 60. It's like 1800p versus 2160p. So good enough. I mean, I guess it's not like you're going to notice, but that 60 frames per second it's like the Spider-Man Miles Morales or Spider-Man. When you play it, it just feels different. You do lose some of that like visual pop, but I think a lot of people, when they play games, are so in the moment, moving around so fast, you don't notice the details anymore. It kind of blurs. So I don't know if it was that big of a deal. I mean, I like to go back and forth. I kind of wish there was just a trigger, kind of like in the Master Chief Collection, to see what it looked like, just to see like what would look different, or if you want to just see a different visual mode. And maybe that's something they could do with like the camera mode, or the photo capture mode, whatever they call that. Where they could just do it on the fly, because I think that would be perfect, because sometimes you just want it to pop, and that's the moments where you're really paying attention to the horizon and things like that. So it's a beautiful game, silky smooth, but they do the thing that I just absolutely hate with games. It's the Metroid concept, right? You end a game and you're a badass. You start a game and it's like, oh, sorry. Oh, you left all your good gear at home. I'm like, wait, I had all this cool stuff. Can I have it back? And it's like, I don't know why they do that in games. It's like, it is a weird one, because, so it does have some more of those elements of just getting new gear, which is kind of cool. They've refined a lot of things. So I think if you're looking for to jump in, it's a perfect time to jump in. And right now, if you buy the PS4 version, if you don't have a PS5, you can play this on PS4. And essentially on that, you're getting like 1080p 30, but it still looks good. Still looks really good. It even plays well on the base PS4. So regardless where you play, it's a good experience. Digital Foundry said, "Yep, it's a good experience. It's not like it's not like a borked version, but you're just not going to get the really like wow experience." But if you buy on PS4, you get the PS5 upgrade for free. So I actually bought the PS4 version for $10 less, and got the PS5 version for free. So it's there. It's really beautiful. It's really cool. It's a showcase. It's really well done. It's a lot of fun. I've got to get used to the mechanics again, just because it's primarily a projectile game. There is some melee up and close, and they did improve that as well. So, but it's very cool. Looks really neat. They have some new elements that I have not gotten yet, which are kind of like some more traversal things, like a glider that's going to add some a little bit more traversal elements as well. So I'm glad this one is coming out at a time when Zelda is not out like the week later, because I think a lot of people missed the first game because Zelda took them away, which I totally get it. That was such a unique game. And this is not a step up from what I've seen, it's a step change from 2 or from 1. So it's not like the next step, which is fine, because I think a lot of people just love playing the Reels game so much. So, but this is cool. Check it out if you want. I hope it gets a big audience with 116 million PS4s, 18 or 20 million PS5s. There's ample ways to play this game. So, yeah, I think it's going to make people very happy. The other game I played was. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, Todd. Do you plan on playing God of War Ragnarok when it comes out?
Is that a question?
Well, yeah, I just want to know because you know you're going to have to start over with that too, right? They're gonna Metroid you with that one too. When you were talking about that, I'm thinking to myself, man, all
I
that
lost.
stuff that I have.
Oh God, I lost my blades of chaos in the
I
laundry.
know, right? Yeah. You buried them again, right?
Forgot them
Yeah, you
in
got
the
to go dig
canoe.
them up.
Yeah.
Oh, but only at a
Exactly.
specific point in the story can you dig them up. So
Well, maybe Kratos, took some time off. He drank too many beers, got the dad bod going on. He's got to train, get back up. Maybe that's how they're going to
Yeah.
parse it. But yeah,
Right,
oh yeah,
right.
I cannot wait. The upgrade to God of War on, even on PS5, and
Yeah,
I cannot wait to see Ragnarok and how good it looks. But yeah, that's going to be
it's
awesome.
going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Then Lost Ark is a new game from Amazon. It is a MMO that looks like a Diablo game. And it is a beautiful game, and it's pretty classic. Basically, you pick your class, and then it has a weird like cutscene, which is voiceover with some like weird like stills. I'm like, this seems very odd for a high end game. This game is very popular on Steam. It's huge. It's free to play too, which is kind of neat. The value is high, but there's ways to pay if you want with things. But when you do your like character selection, so you pick your base character, they are just way overdone. I think this is an Asian studio because the aesthetics and just even some of the character models, lots of cleavage, lots of overdone cleavage. Apparently, the sexy ladies are on display in this game. I picked a dude because he looked a little bit more modest, but when you get his armor,
Just a little bit.
yeah, just a little more.
Just a little bit.
You pick your armor, and it looked like I killed a cow. Like I've got like bull horns on my shoulder. I'm like, what is this? So I picked my class, and you've got like various standard classes. Like you've got your tank, you've got like your more support, and then you've got like a paladin, I think. But it's what it does is what I love, Mark. You get to try out a class first before you're committed.
That's nice.
It's such a good move, and it shows you all your moves. So it's kind of tantalizing to see what you could be, because it's basically it's letting you try it out with your full layout of like awesome stuff. So I'm like, okay, so it's giving you what I've always said. Show me what it's going to be like to eventually have this character be a badass, because if I like that, then it's worth the grind to get there.
Yeah.
So I was impressed with that. And it's very fun because like it said, let you try it out so you can try it against a boss, against minions. And then once you selected everything, you can change your voice even, which is kind of cool. Change all of your appearances, which is pretty cool. It dumps you right in, and then the opening cutscene is really beautiful. And it is an MMO, but it is that Diablo style gameplay. But what it has that Diablo doesn't, it has very impactful combat. Like everything feels like it has weight versus just click, 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 click. It actually feels like your weapons and your defense has weight. So it is a little weird because you can play it with controller, but it does that weird like mouse with your stick. So like Destiny did, or it does that. Like, I hate that. I wish they could figure out a way to map it like a console does to the menu controls and things like that, versus trying to play like when I was trying to put my so dumb. I'm playing it on PC. When I was trying to put my name in, it was making me do it with a mouse on a on-screen keyboard.
No.
That's
like,
weird.
what is this? It was like,
No.
I mean, this isn't on console yet. So why was any of this stuff? I don't know. It was weird. And I finally got my character class and my character name, which apparently somebody selected like 85 versions of my name. So I eventually got the guy I wanted to be, but it was just weird. And they wouldn't let you use like numbers. You could only use letters. So yeah, I don't know. Oh well, I guess nobody's calling me in Roman times and say, "Hello, cool dude 75." Guess it doesn't roll off the tongue. I don't know, but it's an MMO. So like, and I didn't play with other people. You can kind of play it solo, but you can play with others if you want, looking for groups and stuff are there. So check it out. It's doing very well, apparently. One of the most thing, but it's a free to play game. So it's not like you had a lot invested. You don't have to pay for it to get into it. But I don't know what the cost of entry will be eventually. Like if you want to be a really cool guy, if it's all cosmetics, or if it's like you buy experience. So I guess we'll see how this goes.
Right. This is only PC right now, right? Is there any plans on taking this console side or anywhere else? Do you know?
That's a good question because it's Amazon. So I don't know if
Mm,
they want to dabble that way. They don't have any devices that they make that can play high-end games.
right.
I mean, I just don't think one of those type of a devices, anyways, like a Roku stick or a Amazon
Right.
Fire, would be capable of doing something unless they
Mm,
streamed it. Which I could see them trying to do a stream version on TV through one of their stick devices, but
right.
I don't know how laggy it would be. But I think it could go to console, um, which may make sense because maybe Amazon doesn't want to play in that space. Like they don't want to develop their own console, which makes total sense. But it's I can play with the controller. So, but it's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
yeah.
you saying you can play with a controller kind of made me wonder, like,
Yep.
okay, well, is that kind of testing to make sure you can put it on a console, or because it seems like there's other things to focus on a PC
Yeah.
only model, right? So
Yeah, and it's got a lot of
interesting.
modifiers, like it's right trigger or left trigger with X to do extra moves and things like that. So essentially, you've got and it has cooldowns like Diablo. So I think it could
Hmm,
work very well on console. To be honest, this
cool,
type of game, yeah.
very cool.
Well, that is what we've been playing. But, gentlemen, now this is going to be our new story that's going to lead us into the bonus round. So, we're first going to talk about the main story. And that is, it was announced that Nintendo is closing the 3DS and Wii U eShop. And it's going to take place in 2 stages. So, the first stage will be, I believe, in May 23rd. You will no longer be able to use credit cards to add funds. And then I believe August 29th, you'll no longer be able to put eShop cards into the eShop in August 29th. And then download codes can be redeemed until March 2023. So essentially, you've got just about a year left to add funds, well, less than a year to add funds, 6 months to add
Hmm.
funds, and then another 6 months following that to actually buy games. After that, they haven't announced a date. Well, you will no longer be able to re-download things. I believe the
Hmm.
Wii, you can still re-download. Maybe, I don't know. Mark, do you know? Rich?
Not offhand, no.
No
Okay.
idea.
Okay. And apparently, this impacts. So, if you think about it, digital only games on the Wii U, eShop, and 3DS will approximately impact 1,000 games that are only available there,
Wow.
Hmm.
which surprised me
That
because
is surprising.
I didn't think
Like
there was that many
digital
games.
only. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with this. So the Wii U, and essentially this is going to be the problem. What you'll have if you Wii U, if you buy a Wii U secondhand, uh, you better buy it now and buy
Hmm.
games. Because if you buy one secondhand after it closes, you can't buy games and you can't access what somebody else had, especially if they wipe the system.
Yeah.
Same thing with the 3DS. I think Nintendo still sells 3DS's refurb on their
Maybe
website.
refurb, but yeah, that's it. No new ones.
Yeah, they stopped manufacturing both consoles years prior. So there's really
Hmm.
no way to buy these. And I don't believe anyone is making like any 3DS capable like knockoff systems.
No.
So it kind of is what it is. So this is the story. So we had a similar story with the Vita and PS3
Yeah.
eShop or whatever they're called stores.
Yep.
Hmm.
Sony relented after getting vigorously taunted and attacked. And
Yeah.
essentially, you can still buy games and download them on those platforms.
For now, I read
For
that they were
now.
gonna they're still gonna close it, but they just
Yeah.
basically gave them more time.
Yeah.
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 Stay of execution, I think,
Yeah.
is basically more along the lines of what Sony's doing. Nintendo just, they seem to be like, look, this is what it is. I don't know. So, Rich, do you have any thoughts on this one to lead us off?
Well, I think the problem with this is that there's two very different schools of thought. I guess not problem. There's two very different schools of thought that Microsoft lands in one, and Nintendo and Sony land in another. And Nintendo and Sony are very much focusing on what's next, whereas Microsoft is focusing on making sure everything is playable forever on one console, which will win them points in the long run, I think. I think Sony and Nintendo are kind of going down a bad route here, because there are still people that play, classic games. Now, some things I understand, licensing games, like, I mean, if you remember that Gotham City Imposters game that was out for a
Oh
while.
God, I
You
almost
remember
forgot
that?
about that. Rich, you
Yeah,
brought it
yeah.
back up. Now,
Yeah.
how can I need to forget about that again. Get it on my brain.
Well, that's not available anymore. This is, well, the Scott Pilgrim game. How about that? The Scott Pilgrim game is the perfect example. It was gone for a long time, and then they released a remastered version of it. My kid loves that game, by the way.
It's a good game.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But you're losing something by not paying homage to what got you there, right? Like, I mean, think about the games that are gone probably for good, really. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. There was, oh God, what was that game that came with that was on the PlayStation 3 for a while there? There was a you threw yourself at things. Do you remember this?
Oh, I do. That
can't
game
remember
was
the name of
so
that game.
dumb.
It was
And
just dumb
it was
fun.
like an early PlayStation 3
Yeah.
only online game, and
Yeah.
everybody bought it because there was like 3 games at the time.
Right. But that game's gone. I mean, nobody plays that game because, well, the servers are gone too. That's another thing. You're knocking down servers left and right for these online games. Well, some of them are online only. How do you play them? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my heart rests in the Microsoft camp but my wallet rests in the Sony camp, I guess.
So, Rich, that game was called Pain.
Pain. That's right. God damn, that was a weird game. That was such a weird game. Throw yourself into
Off
a
to
brick wall and
YouTube.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and apparently, fun fact about this game while we're on it: playable characters were Santa Claus,
Yep.
Elvira, Flavor Flav, George Takei, Andy Dick, David Hasselhoff, Buzz from that Buzz game, that trivia game on PlayStation, Daxter, and Fat Princess.
Oh my God. I didn't realize that Fat Princess made it on there. I remember I got the Andy Dick character just so that I could throw him into a wall.
Wow.
Because Andy Dick is he lives up to his name, let's just say.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes. So I'm trying to think about what is currently, I guess it would be then the PS3 and 360 are the oldest existing, and Vita, PSP closed, are the oldest existing continuously online available stores, excluding Steam and GOG and those things like that.
Right.
So, Mark, I do not have any 3DSs. I don't have a Wii U anymore. So what is your strategy then for these platforms that are going to eventually close?
I have what I have, really. Like, I have both of these. My Wii U is still hooked up upstairs. We don't use it at all. But it was fun looking back. So when they announced this, they also had like a little look back website where you could put in your gamer, your Nintendo ID or whatever, and see how many hours you logged in on each system and what was your top played game or for my top played app basically for the Wii U, which was surprisingly Netflix. I didn't think I'd use Netflix that much on the Wii U, but apparently we did.
TV was it TV? Was that the app called TV?
TV with two eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, with me, I'm not rushing out to get more stuff for these because the games that I bought are the games that I have, and I don't know, like if I missed something, I guess I missed it. I get some of the outrage for this, but at the same time, I kind of like at some point you have to rip the Band-Aid off, and it sucks now because there are some games that are online only and you can't go to a secondhand store and say, I missed this game. I want to get this, years down the road, like I can do with my GameCube and find something at a flea market or here or there, or whatever. But at the same time, like they can't keep going with this hardware indefinitely because, keeping servers up costs money. And, when the N64 or the GameCube came out, you couldn't really walk into a store and buy Super Nintendo games, I suppose, years after they stopped making Super Nintendos and that kind of thing. And that was when it was all brick and mortar stores. And I'm sure there were some people that were like, we still like our Super Nintendo. I don't want to get a GameCube, but like, life moves on and the market moves on, I suppose. And
Well, that's why your parents get pissed off, right? It won't play those new games.
Right. And sadly, Nintendo has chosen to go on with the Switch and restart the eShop, which
Yeah.
I was really hoping that the Wii U purchases would continue on, but I'm hoping that now they've kind of seen the kickback of this. They've learned that online stores, they've seen Microsoft use as an example, and the goodwill that brought, like Rich said, that I'm hoping that the Switch, whatever the Switch 2 or the Nintendo something that they'll call their next console, will continue those digital purchases. With the Wii U, I wish it worked like that. That would be great. The Wii U had a hell of a library, but the console itself was kind of a problem, or a solution looking for a problem, as I used to call it, because it was just a weird piece of hardware. The 3DS, however, is tough. You kind of have to leave that behind because they've left it behind. They don't have a 2-screen weird little system, and that worked for the DS and it worked for the 3DS, but with the Switch, that's now a single screen and does what it wants to do and does what it does quite well. It's tough to emulate that, or to pull off some of those games that might use the bottom touch screen and then the top screen for something else. Like, some of these you just can't emulate. You just can't do on, like Todd, like you said, like unless someone makes some software or some hardware that kind of apes what the 3DS was doing, like you can't do that on anything else. So it sucks from a game preservation standpoint. Like, things are just going away. Nintendo's moved on, but like, how long do we want them to hold? How long as a company do we expect them to keep supporting this and to keep paying for the servers and like Rich, you said, like paying for the licenses and this and that. And it's like, they have the data. They see how many people are still logging into the Wii U and the 3DS, and it's probably severely dwindling. And there might have been a spike this week when this news came out of people going, I really need Pushmo, and going after that on the 3DS. But like, after this week or the next, it's probably going to die down. I'm going to guess by May 23rd, when you will no longer be able to use credit cards, there might be a scramble that week, or like the week before. But like, sadly, I just don't think there's the staying power to motivate Nintendo to keep this open. And it sucks that it's going away, but hopefully people get what they want, like me, and have these systems and not have to sell them. And I know that I'm a lot of times in a privileged position with this. Like, I had to fund my Xbox Series X. I had to get rid of my Xbox One X. That was just like the way I could afford it. With my Nintendo systems, I've been pretty lucky. And I had to sell my old one to get the OLED model for the Switch. But for the most part, I have every Nintendo console and all my handhelds and all that kind of stuff that I've just been able to hold on to. So consider myself lucky there that I can go back and play the games that I have until they. And I think for these, I have like memory in the stuff that I can store these games, even if they say you can't re-download them at some point in the future. But it does kind of suck that it's just like, well, we've moved on, so everything dies. But I don't know a solution.
Thank you
like,
for that,
there's
Mark.
there's
That
no
black
solution.
picture you painted. Everything dies. Enjoy life while it lasts. Yes.
And that's
your eShop will die as well, Mark.
Right. Like, that's just how it is with this. And there's I don't think there's an easy solution. Like, I don't think, unless Nintendo's like, yeah, here we go, we're re-releasing 3DSs and we're putting the Wii U eShop on the Switch for some reason. Like, it's just it's messy. It sucks, but it's life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trend. I mean, and this is what we're going to see. I mean, and that is the difficult nature of a digital marketplace. it's what do you support? Is it vibrant? And you know, movies is a little different because you can play a movie on a lot of different devices. Sometimes prints are hard to find, but they largely can be found. There's like some exceptions to the rules. Video games is like one medium that seems like not everything is going to live forever, and that'll probably pivot us into the actual article. But you know, rest in peace, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo Wii U. We knew you well, and it's funny because that was the step down era from their most successful era. I mean, of over 250 million systems combined sold, to then go to 90 million systems sold, which was a huge step down. But it was just like, that was just a crazy age. So, but now they're in the Switch, and we hope lessons are learned. We're going forward, your library with Nintendo will follow you. Unless they make some really wacky and crazy, like, we're going all in on Labo next gen. And everything's got to work. I'm like,
See,
what?
But that's even the thing with Nintendo. They always try weird stuff, whether it's 2 screens or a weird controller or something. We've talked about this with the N64, that nothing feels right with N64 games other than an N64 controller, because you need those done.
And then it doesn't even feel right, Mark. No, just kidding.
Todd, don't get me started. But like, that's the thing with Nintendo, is they try wacky stuff. And it's fun, but even with the Switch, we have games that are motion controlled or doing weird things with the Joy-Con or whatever. And if the next iteration doesn't have IR control or like Labo, something that can fit in Labo, like, you're still losing. I'm not saying every single game, but you're still losing something from those gimmicky games that you don't lose with like, unless they release a movie that you can only watch on a specific kind of like projector or something. Like, a movie's just going to be, do you have a screen? Cool. You can watch this movie. And like, that's, you know, it's just not how it is with games.
Yeah. I mean, even we've even got that with the Switch Lite. There's certain games the Switch Lite cannot really play, essentially, because they have to support tabletop mode. And sometimes and you need Joy-Cons to play on the Switch Lite. And
I was just going to say, I just talked about one of them, Nintendo Switch Sports, not going to work on the Lite.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting, it's a very thing where it's like, and you don't want those features that were fun at the time to be forgotten, but you also don't want 99% of the library to be held back just because it doesn't support those unique features that were only used seldomly. Like, you know, some of the features like Rumble, Joy-Con Rumble, the IR sensor, very rarely used. See, like, you know, let's leave those behind or find another way to do it. Why not? That's fine. Yeah.
You know, that the discussion of movies is an apt one, because even on physical media, I have a 4K Blu-ray player. It will play 4K Blu-rays. It'll play Blu-rays. It'll play DVDs. I mean, it plays generations back, right?
Not HD DVD, Rich. Not Betamax.
DVD, not Laserdisc, right? Yeah, I'm saying there's limitations to it, but there is that backwards compatibility component to that, where if I have a movie that was only released on DVD, like say Kids or something like that, you can watch that on my player. It may not look great, but you can watch it on my player.
Right.
Yeah. And it is interesting because and this is going to lead us into our topic of game preservation, because this is becoming a bigger concern, because we can track this back to games where they started, largely arcades. Okay. So arcades, I grew up with arcades. Rich, you grew up with arcades. Mark, you went to Chuck E. Cheese, I assume.
We didn't have a Chuck E. Cheese, but I had local arcades and stuff. Yeah.
Moose Poutine Man. Is that
Ours
what it's called?
Actually, well, we had an arcade in the mall, and I can't remember what that was called. Like, I don't know if it had a name or it was just like a place in the mall with a bunch of arcade machines. But we also had a place called Boomerangs.
Oh, okay.
That had like arcade games and like, you know, the weird like little like roller ball games where you get the tickets and shit. And, and then laser tag. They had laser tag. That was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, Boomerangs, laser tag, and that was some fun birthdays.
Yeah. So I mean, we started there, and a lot of those redemption games, whack-a-mole, things like that. That's an experience you could only get there.
Right.
I mean, some of those sit-in consoles. Think of like the Star Wars 83 game, right? All of those cool like Space Harrier where it would move. Those experiences were brought home, but in a different fashion. So you're going to be losing some of those, which makes sense. It's just impossible. But light gun games, home light gun games, have largely gone away because of CRTs going away, and LCDs and that technology doesn't really support it anymore. So we lost something already. Peripherals, think about that. Rock Band, DDR pads.
I miss Rock Band.
Those break and then they're impossible to find. Rock Band, people, Rock Band. I just saw Sean Capri playing Rock Band, and
with his kids, that was the best.
It was
thing.
the cutest thing in the world, and he just happened to be the one person that kept everything, and he could play it. But 360 controllers did not work on the Xbox Series because they used weird communication protocols. So you'd have a dongle. Well, those dongles are the things you always lose first. So then you had to buy then they made an adapter for Xbox One. But to buy it now, that adapter is $400.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny because they were giving away instruments at the end of those games' life, and people now should have held on to them because you can sell them for $400. My son wanted to buy a Wii guitar player to play this thing. So we're losing some of those experiences. And now that Xbox has bought Activision, we might get Guitar Hero, but how are we going to play Guitar Hero unless they bring out Kinect and do air controls?
No, they need to re-release the guitars. 100%. We need new instruments. We need a new Guitar Hero. Let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, we've gone. Yeah. So the inputs go away because those things are hard to make, hard to control, hard to find, and get very expensive. So we're losing experiences along the way. Then we had the experience with online games, EverQuest, whatever you want to call it. That was the precursor to World of Warcraft. MMOs are made to expire. Online is made to expire. Remember when those people were holding out on, what was it, the 360 or the original Xbox? Like holding on to the online servers.
Yeah.
And playing to the last moment they could because they knew those were going to be turned off. People are upset that the 360 Halo servers were finally turned off. So all of these experiences, to a large extent, that are going online are not going to be recreated the way we originally played them. So we've got that. But we've got the way to play it on our home consoles. And we've already brought up licensing. I mean, I'm getting ready to move. I was looking at what I owned physically on disc, and I bought a 360 so I could play licensed games that aren't supported on Xbox One. The Captain America game, the Punisher game.
That Punisher game.
I mean, all these games, some of them are good. Lollipop Chainsaw, which is just a dumb game by James Gunn that is not compatible on Xbox One for some reason. So even we're making these progress forward, not everything's carried forward licensed. So that gets us kind of where we're at today, where PS5 is now backwards compatible with PS4. Xbox Series X is fully backwards compatible with Xbox One, partially compatible with 360, and barely compatible with the original Xbox. I think there's 25 games. So the question becomes, what are there any solutions for game preservation?
It's tough.
For the older games, I mean, when you talk about like your Super Nintendo or your NES or your Sega Genesis, you just keep the console and, or get a console and you can buy carts and, go from there, right? But some of these games that came out on 360, like the entire game's not on the disc. There's still stuff that has to be downloaded to be able to play that game. And that was even more prevalent when it got to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, right? I mean, how do you maintain those games if those people decide they don't want to carry that game anymore? If you don't have the content downloaded that you needed to play that game, you're out of luck. You're out of luck. That's the problem with digital, in my mind, in that the owners of that, if they decide they're not going to carry it anymore, you're out of luck. So
yeah, most modern discs are just there as copyright protection, as a placeholder. They don't control the whole. They have a state of the game and limited data. Switch is the same way. We found that Switch carts largely come on 16 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes, I think, and a lot of the games are like 60 gigabytes. Well, people don't want to pay, I don't know, whatever the cost of a Switch card is, because it's got memory on it and stuff like that.
Yep.
They don't want to pay for it. So largely you've got games like, I think Witcher 3 maybe is the whole game on it, but that's a rarity because they paid for it. So a lot of games, and I even heard like it was a game on the Wii U that was a Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think. It had a downloadable expansion that made the gameplay better. Like it had like assets, things you can install, which once that shop goes offline, then you just get a physical copy of that game. It's not gonna perform as well as when you could have it now. So there's problems because games require patches at launch. I mean, launch day patches. You're exactly right, Rich. DLC like Fortnite. Think about that. You both play Fortnite.
Oh yeah.
What is the Fortnite, and compared to launch to where it is now? What is like the Fortnite? What is the Fortnite?
Yeah, it's for those kind of games. Yeah, you can't even get into preservation because what part are you preserving? Are you preserving chapter 1, chapter 2, or we're on chapter 3 now? There's a completely new island. Are you preserving Battle Royale that was in beta mode up until
Save the World, right?
Now save the world. Like what is it? And that's, it's tough. And it like one of the interesting, like we've seen the film industry and TV industry kind of go through these growing pains, and they've had a lot longer to figure things out. But like one of the articles that we were reading for this to kind of prepare was like talking about the BBC losing the original Doctor Who tapes and the original, someone they just taped over them because they didn't care back then. And luckily someone found them in a basement or whatever it was. And, some of them are still found or whatever, but like those again are that what was filmed is what is there. And that's it. With games, yeah, you can change so much, but even just preserving the code, like for the base game or like even when it's updated or whatever, like preserving that code can be tough because you can preserve the code, or like you get the Game Preservation Society and Video Game History Foundation,
archive.org
right?
Is
So a lot of people think emulation or saving ROMs is piracy, but it's only when people are downloading that. So if you're preserving the code, until you show it to someone, it's not really anything. And that's where
from it.
And that's not even profit, because you don't have to profit from it in order for it to be privacy. If I'm saving Super Mario Brothers and giving it out for free to everyone, that's still piracy. You can't do that. But if I'm just preserving that code for the sake of preserving that game and making sure that there's a copy of the game code somewhere, then that should be okay. But who's doing that? And that, so now we have, luckily, some places that are doing that in the games industry, that we've had doing that in film and that kind of thing. Again, that's great, but you're saving this code for a system that might not exist, or a control method that might not exist, or again, games that can be updated and that kind of stuff. So it's such a messy place. So it's again, no easy answers for things, and it's I'm hoping that they find a way to preserve some things. I'm hoping that they do find a way to and luckily we're seeing this with consoles that are coming out, that you can just pop in an old cart or maybe an old ROM or something like that, and you can play these old games that you thought may have been lost. So
yeah, what is it? The Analog Pocket was all the rage. It plays carts. Now, will they have an adapter to play other carts too?
Yeah, you can play Game Boy, or Game Gear. I think there's there's a bunch of adapters for different kinds of carts. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
And Analog also makes consoles that will play like Genesis, Game Boy, I think even up to GBA. I mean, they do a lot of things. And then, so you get to a point because I think it kind of ends with like disc-based systems is where it gets difficult. I mean, and they do have like limited run games, which has made some carts, which is very hard, very difficult because you don't have that manufacturing capability anymore to make the plastic, that has to go in the machine. So it's a mixed bag. And then you do get some games that get brought back by limited run games, which is great that somebody is saying, I'm going to get the license. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to pay for the emulation so it can come out on consoles in different ways. The problem is those are still limited. So you got to be lucky because they sell out. So hopefully maybe we could see, we've got, and it was funny because you talked about Mark losing code. The Mass Effect Legendary Collection. Okay, Mass Effect came out 2007, I think. They lost the code to one of the DLC parts.
Yep.
This isn't like the BBC 1961 overwriting the tapes. This is like a modern, like one of the best games trilogies in the world. And they lost, this. And that's the worry that you're like, somebody's going to do something dumb, like shred something or overwrite it, tape over it, throw it out because somebody didn't realize because it was in an archive. They don't have good archives. And it's going to go horribly wrong.
Like the person that almost deleted Toy Story. Did you guys ever hear that? Like straight up just deleted Toy Story. And luckily I think it was the director had a copy at home or something like that. Yeah. But they almost deleted that movie before it was released. Like just gone.
Okay, my bad. Is that the appropriate response?
Like it happens, right? Like it's just.
If I could think about how many times I've accidentally deleted an email, and then when the trash has gotten somebody says, "Oh, I sent you an email about it." Oh, really? Can you send that again? Because look, if anybody can make a dumb mistake like that and accidentally delete Toy Story, like you said, Mark. I mean that. I'm
purging VHS tapes. Okay, I know this sounds like what is a VHS, young listeners?
Still have VHS tapes?
I have some old crap I kept just as fun. Like I recorded stuff off TV, like stuff that you would never see before, like Generation X, that horrible Fox made for TV X-Men movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah, I recorded that when I was in college. I kept it. Oh yeah, and I recorded stuff when I was in Korea for my wife, AFN. All these dumb Air Force commercials that were like the stupidest, like PSA's lowest production. I'm like, I had to send her something. They're like, this is what I'm experiencing when I don't get good TV. Here you go. But yeah, I mean, it's like I have, and another thing is like I have 8mm, what is it? Digital DV, whatever. It was a video camera format. There's no way to show those unless you have the camera. They don't sell an adapter. So if my camera dies, I'm screwed. And that's got a lot of memories. So I have to convert those things onto something. And that's where we're at. It's like you don't want to lose memories. You don't lose things. So I was thinking about this. What I would love to see at a minimum, and I think is to get more Let's Plays without any commentary. Just like playing the game. Channel?
Yeah.
Yes. And hopefully nobody takes down because of the music in the background, because soundtracks, because think about this, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, that ever goes out of print. Think about the soundtrack. That's going to get pulled down, but that's an element that is essential to that game.
Mm-hmm.
You've run into the problem that they have with certain TV shows not being able to be syndicated because of music that was used in the series. Or say like House, where they want to have that on streaming so badly that they change some of the music so that it gets in there, Wow. And it's not the same way that it was, but it's, I mean, my wife has this problem. She likes the show Supernatural, and there's differences in the streaming versions to the disc versions, the actual physical copies that she has. She can watch those and experience them differently than she does streaming, which is 100% why I am fully behind like physical media. That's one of the reasons,
which is just going to become a dated process too, because the lines that manufacture discs are going to go away. Yep. They don't want you to buy anything because they want you to subscribe.
Yep.
And that's just kind of the nature of things. And that kind of leads us into the future of, what could these companies do to preserve the future? And it is kind of funny because you do see remakes, remasters. These are the different steps they've done to make you pay again for the stuff you had in the past. But there's going to be certain games that there's just not the appetite to spend money against them.
Yeah.
I have lobbied for the Eternal Darkness remake, or just release that game again, but Nintendo doesn't even acknowledge that game being existing. What is it? Twin Snakes, that was also a GameCube exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, is that ever going to come out? Because Konami could care less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Nintendo cares. So we've got like all of these unique circumstances where it's going to be harder. And disc-based media is born to die. There's no really way to copy that material to preserve it for your own use. Like you think about copying discs and things like that. So even owning something, it just takes one bad experience, one child finding your copy of, I don't know, what's a good GameCube game, Mark, that you can't play anywhere else. If Finn found it and said, "Daddy, it's a throwing star," and he throws it in the toilet and there's a Dookie on it, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely a potential. Yeah, I have a few GameCube games upstairs that I doubt I could find another copy of. And if I did, it would be vastly overpriced.
Yeah.
I should probably sell those.
Before your child screws them up, because that's what children do. They ruin your dreams and fantasies at a young age, and they become older. And but what about this? What if Nintendo just bought M2? M2 is a renowned company that makes fantastic compilations. They make wonderful collections. I believe they made the Genesis collection on Switch, Mark. I mean, they pay homage, they do history, they make them pixel perfect. They actually make them even better than what you originally had because they make them good for modern systems. Should game companies, like Sony just bought Bluepoint's remastering all their stuff. Should these companies basically buy a studio, and that's all their job is? Archive and create and save it for later. Doesn't mean that it has to be available now, but maybe that's part of their online, that eventually when Nintendo's going to have more systems than NSO, don't you want them to be able to say, we invested and we're going to allow you to use it and play it and pay for it, versus just gone with the wind? Is that something like Xbox? Same thing there. They've got 85 studios now. I mean, is that something where they could do? Sony with Bluepoint. I mean, is that what they should do?
That's really tough. Rich, do you have any insight on that one?
As you were talking there, Todd, I was thinking about on DVD when I think it was the second or third release of the Star Wars trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy on DVD. As a special feature, they had the original unaltered cuts of the Star Wars trilogy, basically just ports of the Laserdisc that were part of the package, right? What if like, you said, where if they were to get a studio like Bluepoint that just catalogs everything, and then eventually if they bring, say, Resistance back and they're doing Resistance as a remake, they could offer the deluxe edition, because they always have these deluxe edition and ultimate editions of everything, right? For like $30 more, you can play the original 3 Resistances, and by the way, the PS Vita version as well. You could play that as well, like
that's a great call out. It's like it's there if you want it, and you're paying a premium for the luxury. I think a lot of people would do that, because right now collector's edition, it's like what, a stupid map, something you throw away, a statue you may not want, or something like that. And what's more valuable is something that is the original or a part of the history of that game, that is something you could play.
Yeah, like
kind of like Mark.
Sorry,
I was gonna say, Mark, remember that GameCube send away offer for Nintendo Power? It was the Zelda collection on a disc. It was, I think, 3 or 4 Zelda games. And that disc, they could make that disc so easily because they must have the files and just launch it out. No, here you go. But I mean, yeah.
And Nintendo's such a weird company to talk about this kind of stuff with, because they are so hard on ROM sites and any kind of like preservation. They'll come down on, even if someone's trying to do it right, but then they'll publish a game like that I think so. Was it Super Mario All Stars or something? Like they essentially they were accused of using a
They used a
ROM
ROM.
or something, right? Like that originated online. Or something. Like it's they're
Wait, what?
such a weird company.
They
Yeah,
pulled a
Yeah.
ROM from
yeah.
offline and used it as oh god,
Well,
that's
they own a
great.
copy,
Mhm.
Mark. They own a
And
copy, Rich, right? That's the rule, right? You got to
yeah,
own a copy.
right.
We own the company. We're these is our copies out there in the wild.
So they went on
That is great.
nesroms.com or whatever and like downloaded like and
Oh
then put
wait,
it on a
this is the
Wii disc
German
or
version.
something.
This
Like,
is the
yeah, right.
German
Like
version. Oh my goodness! Why is Mario Kart saying German words?
and I don't know. Like I'm sure there's explanations of how people discovered this and figured it out that it was like that version or whatever. But like Nintendo's such a weird company where they're like they don't almost don't want to preserve parts of their history or like they don't want anyone else to and like they want to decide if they want to and stuff. Like it's they're so weird, but like they have the most history of anyone to want to preserve. So why not just do it? It's
Well, if you
so
had
strange.
a hidden gem like the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1983 in your history, wouldn't you want to control whether or not that got out?
Yes.
Yes. Well, think about it this way. You know, we have the Nintendo Universal Studios Park coming out.
Mhm. Yeah.
They don't even need that. They just need like the Nintendo History Museum. And that would be just as popular, and people would travel to it to
Mhm.
play like games and see history and watch documentaries and all of these cool things. And there's a passion for it.
Yeah.
I'm watching a cool series right now called Slugfest on Roku, and it's really like 10-minute stories about the history of Marvel and DC.
Hmm.
And it's absolutely hilarious. It's got like reenactments. It's got people playing like Stan Lee and things like that. Just imagine if Nintendo decided to do something like fun, like behind the scenes of how they came up with Mario. How they did. I mean, there's so much cool history. And I just remember also G4 did an Icon series, which was essentially 30-minute like documentaries about things that happened in the past. There's so much passion for it, especially now that this is like our youth and our passion. We
Mhm.
just have a hunger for it, and it's a shame that it's going to go away. And I before we wrap up, I did want to say I did a little experiment. So in the name of science, I had heard someone talking about a thing called dolphin. So kids, dolphin, don't look into it. There is a way to see Nintendo games in a way they never were before. At a high resolution, beautiful, with the control scheme of your choice. So I decided to experiment and see what Metroid Prime would look like in HD
Ooh.
How did that
with
go?
mappable controls on a high-end PC. It's impressive.
Is this an
And that is
emulator
no
or
work being done. It's an emulator.
okay?
And if you own the game, which I do, I still own my copy of Metroid Prime. I don't own the GameCube anymore because I bought a Wii, and I'm like, I'm going to play that on the Wii, and I didn't want to because motion controls, things like that. So it's really cool to see how good those games look with no effort.
Hmm.
And just imagine that when you see someone doing Breath of the Wild in 4K
Mhm.
and that emulation that they do, and just what they can do with the hardware, and it just seems like there's easy ways to bring that stuff back.
Mhm.
And I just hate that profit gets in the way because Nintendo has a way. I think they have a 300-year plan, and we're just not aware of what that is. And eventually we'll get there. But it's kind of sad that right now we lost the eShops, the virtual consoles, and where we're at today. We don't know if we're getting more NES games. We don't know if we're getting any more Super Nintendo games. We're probably going to get more games, but GameCube games, we've seen what they did with Galaxy on Wii. That's a Galaxy was a Wii game.
Mhm.
There could be more. So I think we all want more of these, and I just fear that physical games, the old classics, those are eventually going to age, and they're going to be harder to find. And the passion to buy those and hoard those and sell them like as an investment will get in the way that people just want to play them for the fun. So I don't know where this is going to go. I hope someone can influence these people, but Microsoft is doing a good job of taking things forward, and I hope they pressure their counterparts to do more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, I'd have
I
to
hope they
agree with
find it. And like you said, with the even if you can't play them, I hope they find a way to preserve what it was like to play them.
that.
And I think that's kind of where it's going to come down eventually. Of you might not be able to get this exact thing that you could 40 years ago or whatever to properly emulate or properly play this on the original hardware. But yeah, there's a place you can go online, or there's a place you can go wherever in the real world, a library, museum, whatever it is, and watch something or experience something that preserves this these past generations of games. So I hope they find a fun middle ground.
How about they bring back the Nintendo Hitline, but it's a YouTube channel. Nintendo runs it, so they can't get a
I
takedown.
like it.
And
Yeah.
they just play the games and they show all the secrets. And they take people through it and they give a little history. Almost like a
Cool.
DVD commentary, right?
That'd be neat.
See,
Yeah,
That would be
I'd
so
watch it.
cool.
Yeah.
That would
Oh,
be really
I
cool.
mean, Mark,
I'd watch it.
why hasn't Nintendo called me? Oh
They
wait,
should just hire you.
because they've listened to me podcast.
Right. I was gonna say this is the nicest you've been to Nintendo in years.
I'm a changed man, Mark. I'm a changed man. I've turned over an overleaf. I'm excited for Kirby and I'm ready to go.
Congratulations.
Yes. I've got mouthful mode on my mind.
Beautiful.
Yes. Well, that is it for the show, everyone. We want you to tell us, though, how you would preserve video games, your ideas. We want them. We want to know what you can do to make video games a better place. And I do apologize. I was going to talk more about my VR system when I went to use it. It needed to be updated, so it's waiting there because I got a nice comment that they like the show and they want to know more about VR. So I'm going to do that more in new episodes once my headset's updated. So it's my reality with
I
video
almost
games.
bought an Oculus
Oh,
this week, and I might buy one this coming week. I found out I have to do some stuff with my house, so I held off on going out to buy an Oculus, but yeah, it might happen sooner
can't
rather
wait,
than
Mark.
later.
Can't
I
wait.
was like literally in Best Buy, like looking at them, and like, and then I was like, I chickened out at the last second, like, no, I got to be a responsible adult and leave this place right now.
Well, there's no new
but
hardware coming out anytime soon, so you're good to go.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Exactly. You
Before
buy
we do
that,
wrap up,
yeah.
I do want to add and let people know that there is going to be a big streaming weekend in memory of Bobby, our friend, the Nintendo guru. That is coming up because this is a bi-weekly show. I want to give people a little heads up. I think it seems like that's going to be March 4th to 6th that weekend. There's going to be a bunch of people streaming. They're still trying to figure out like the final, like what there's going to be prizes and which fundraiser, like who we're going to be fundraising for and all that kind of stuff, and who's going to be involved. There's a little chat group going on right now that I just got added to. So keep an eye on Twitter. Todd will tell you where to follow us on Twitter. And Sean Capri, the Mega Dads or the Nintendo Dads. I think everyone's going to be involved. So if you can find any of those, Console Cato, and I'm going to try to be involved as much as possible. So follow us on Twitter, and if you can donate, awesome. But we're going to do something in memory of Bobby that we're going to hopefully raise some money for a charity of his family's choosing, I believe, which is going to be nice.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's yeah. I just look at my laptop, I see the Gaming for Guru sticker, and I think of Bobby every day.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. So, yeah, definitely. There'll be more to come about that on our socials. We'll talk about that in a second. But, Rich, thank you for joining us, man. Tell people where they can find you online.
It was a pleasure. I always love talking to you guys in one way, shape, or form. So I'm online on Twitter. You can find me at Rich Davenport 73. I'm so very creative with my my Twitter tag. But from there, you could find where I am with my shows. There's G Disturbances on Twitter and View_Couch on Twitter as well. Otherwise, yeah, download our shows.
Perfect. I've been on Rich's shows. He's great. Mark, you need to go on Great Disturbances.
Yeah, we need to get you over on
show.
we need to get you over on Great
I'd love to.
Disturbances.
Yeah, let me know. Let's talk.
Definitely.
You'll have a good time. Oh, well. That is it for us. Mark, oh my goodness. Tell people where they can find you.
_Canardian on pretty much everything. Twitch, Twitter, and what's the other one? TikTok. I've been trying to do a little bit more there, but not too much, honestly. So
T-Rex shoveling
Instagram.
snow.
Yeah, the T-Rex shoveling snow. That was a fun one. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but that was fun to do. But that's everywhere you can find me on Instagram. Xbox and Switch, I'm just Canardian. So if you want a game, that's where I'm at.
Perfect. And follow me at Toxtra. I am Spartyon98 on Xbox and Switch, Spartyon1998 on PSN. Just spread the word. We'd like more followers. We'd love people to follow us, watch our YouTube channel, join the group. We have a great Discord as well. We have a lot of fun. Wordle is getting hot. We're adding on Loodle now, and man, oh man, I got Loodle today, and I'm like, I think they're slipping on their adult words, to be honest.
Some of them are a little weird for Loodle. I mean, how many 5-letter lewd words can you find? Like some of them are a little stretch. Some of them have to be used in a very specific context, and other ones I've never heard of before because they're like some weird like slang from like one British suburb once, and it's just you just gotta throw letters until something works or you run out of time.
Leave it to Gary Witta to make a weird slang British lewd puzzle game. Oh well.
Is that who makes that?
Oh yeah, Gary Witta.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't know that. That's amazing. The writer of Rogue One. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. That is it for the show. Hope you guys had a good time joining us on our adventure into the world of games. Rich, Mark, it's always a pleasure. And remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.